Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience, and welcome to another episode of the off season. Apologies, we aren't in the studio, but it is for a good reason. We are working through a bit of time difference here, but I've got Elijah Taylor with me, Footy Hacks. At the moment, you might not know him as, obviously doing his Instagram page there. Also has a little bit of a rapping career on the side. But Elijah, how you going, brother?
I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the chat. Been following the content for a long time, man. So it's good to finally be on here.
Yeah, bro. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. You were someone that I was pretty keen to get on. Obviously, a huge playing career in the NRL, and killing it now as well. With your pages and your rapping as well, and setting up yourself nicely. Post footy, which is something I do love talking about on the podcast as well. We obviously had Rennie on before, Rennie Matua, and just talked about his journey post footy as well. So I guess my first question is, I know you're still playing at the moment overseas, but has that really been a thought for yourself? What the plan is post football?
Yeah, so back in 2019, it was Michael Maguire's first year at the Tigers, and I was 31, and I hadn't had anything to fall back on because I'd played footy my whole life. And Madge's trainings, like, they're crazy tough. Like, shout out to all the Broncos boys that are doing this preseason right now, man. Honestly, it's the hardest preseason I've ever done. And I was over it. I was over league. I was over footy. And one of the former players for the Bulldogs, the RLPA, got me in contact with Ben Harris. He's a pilot for Qantas. Me and Peter started doing some lessons with Ben and see if we'd want to try and do that, be a pilot after footy finishes. And it was something that me and Peter were keen on. Me and Peter got in there, and that's something that I'd like to do when I hang my boots up, and it's all said and done, is to go back to Australia and then work my way up the aircrafts.
Nice, bro. Was there any sort of thought? Obviously, you're doing footy hacks at the moment, and that's sort of really starting to pop off, and it's getting really successful. Was there any sort of thought of taking that post football and trying to make something out of that as well, or trying to monetize that sort of thing?
Honestly, it was random. So, like, we were in a carpool, me, Fev, and Copy. Shout out to the boys. Last year, and our carpool was from Salford all the way to Featherston. That's like an hour and a half traffic every second day. And we were just talking about random topics. And they kind of egged me on. You should start a page and just talk about all the bad stuff that happens in rugby, all the stuff that nobody talks about. And so I thought about it. And they came up with the idea, actually, and I just ran with it. So shout out to those two, because we spent a lot of time in the carpool. And we'd always just talk about, the corruption in rugby league and, oh, what happened to this player? Oh, bro, remember this one? Remember they were putting money on games and that? And we were just brainstorming in the car, and we're like, bro, people will actually want to listen to like a different aspect of footy that you don't hear in your average podcast. And yeah, people seem to enjoy it. They seem to help out the young players, which is my main focus of it, is to educate the young boys coming through what to look out for, what to be careful of. And if I can help just one player out there, one young fella, I feel like, I've impacted someone's life. So that was the reason behind it, the cause behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really started to get some traction as well, and I guess a lot of young players and stuff like that would be really interested to get a perspective of someone that has been in the game and been through that journey, and obviously had a very up and down journey as well, with injuries and adversity in that sort of sense as well. I think it's really good to get that sort of perspective. Did you ever think it was going to take off like it did?
No, not at all. I was so nervous beforehand because doing a music video or clip, I'll chuck the mask on, I don't have to worry about anything, it's cool. But like Footy Hacks is like a selfie video, like right up close, and I wasn't like really comfortable at the start doing it. But no, people just kept encouraging me, especially in the DMs. Parents in the DMs, they're the main people in the DMs, and young players. But a lot of parents have said, this advice is really good. Young fella's not listening to us as parents, but he will listen to you in that kind of context. So, yeah, it's just hopefully my hope is just to help out as many young kids and to let them know what they're in for going into a professional rugby league career, because it's a very tough career. It's a very tough sport. It's very cutthroat, especially in the NRL, the dog eat dog world of rugby league, and that's what it is really, sink or swim. So if my page can help out a young fella out there, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, 100%, bro. It's really good what you're doing. And as I said, it's just helping a lot of young guys out there as well. And look, I think you made the perfect point. When parents are trying to give advice, or I know myself, and I'm trying to give advice to my younger brother as well, they rarely listen. So to have a player, a past player or current player giving that advice to them as well, I think that's really, really helpful. Talk to me a little bit about your upping, mate. How did that come about? Has that always been an interest of yours? Are you always big into music?
Yeah, growing up, I listened to a lot of hip hop. My uncles were into hip hop. My brothers were into hip hop, rap, especially. It's something that we used to do at school. It was a big thing at school once upon a time, long time ago. But I, like through my whole career, like a notepad, just writing down thoughts, writing down, especially at NRL. Like it was so intense, training schedules. When I was at the Warriors, that's when I was doing most of it. So a lot of the lyrics I've put out now is I've ripped back at the Warriors, like back at my old books, and because we spent so much times on the plane, so much time in airport lounges, on the bus, at hotels, so much time, and that was a good outlet to get rid of thoughts, or just to take myself away from rugby league. And it's just a hobby. It's a hobby I like doing. I like the lyrical aspect of putting words together, syllables, multi-syllables. That's and I've got to tell a story as well. I can't just be talking about the same old money, cars, women, and drinking and clubs, like all that stuff. No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd never do a song like that. No way. But again, it's another form of education. Like I always try and have a message in a freestyle. Always try and leave some kind of message when I do one. I won't just rap just for the sake of it. But yeah, it's something that I've really been interested in, and bit of downtime over here. The training schedule is not nearly as full as the NRL schedule, so there's a lot of downtime here in the United Kingdom.
Um, what music were you listening to growing up? What was the big like? What music did you like the most when you were in your younger days?
Um, first got intro- First listening to my first album was the Eminem Show, Slim Shady. We had that in Lincoln Park, and we had one Xbox, and we used to listen to that after school, playing Halo on the Xbox. That's back in those days. You've only got one stereo, two CDs. Like we didn't have any other CDs, so we had to listen to the whole tracks. And the Eminem Show, I remember in the cover, it had the lyric sheets, the words to the songs, which was crazy. And that's when I was introduced to rap. Really, I was about I think 10 years old, 11 years old when it dropped. Um, but yeah, I hardly listen to any hip hop nowadays, especially what they talk about, all the drill stuff they talk about, and all the killing stuff they talk about these days. I don't
Mm.
really listen to that type of hip hop, to be honest with you. But yeah, again, I can get a message in there and my music or in a freestyle. It's something I like to do, and it's a hobby, so it's cool, bro.
Yes, you're not listening to a lot of the stuff you used to listen to now. What is your type of music now? What do you listen to nowadays?
I mainly just listen to like uh, J. Cole, um, and artists that actually tell a story, artists that actually talk about something, like storytelling. That's where hip hop. That's the hip hop I grew up on. Is telling a story, not just talking about this gun, get these bands on the same trap beat, 140 BPM. Because it's pretty forgettable. Those songs that with no substance, no meaning. Like I'll even listen to some old school Tupac still, like Tupac Changes. That's a powerful song, simple song, but it's got substance behind it. That's why it feels timeless. Scribe Dreaming as well. That's another classic, simple beat, uh, but a message behind it, and that's why it's lasted so long. So yeah, it's still listen to old school stuff, really.
Yeah, bro. I yeah, totally understand that. Tupac and Cole. Cole's one of my favorites, to be honest. I'm a big Cole fan myself. Were you sort of? This might be. I know because I know you don't listen to a lot of the other rappers. Obviously, that talk about money, and stuff like that. But were you in the loop about the Kendrick and Drake beef when that was all happening only a year back?
Yeah, I was following it on Twitter. Um, I was on J Cole's side because I like it because he makes his own beats as well. He produces his own music, and the way he raps with his syllables is crazy. So I was always a J Cole fan because yeah, he does everything. Where Drake's got ghostwriters, Kendrick gets beats off someone else. Where J Cole does everything by himself in most of his projects. So you got to respect that.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I mean, J. Cole, it's probably the easiest side to follow because he got out of there nice and early too, and just let them go at it. So, pretty easy side to follow there. Mate, talk to me about growing up over in New Zealand, obviously playing rugby union a lot of the time. Was that a little bit of the plan? Or did you plan more to go to the rugby union side, or was there always a love for league somewhere in there?
Rugby union all the way. I grew up as an All Black fan. My old man was one of those parents that didn't like rugby league. He was just one of those New Zealand parents that All Blacks was everything, and you don't play rugby league because that's a poor game kind of thing. That was his attitude, which is kind of acid, honestly. Um, so I was playing union from 6 years old all the way up to about 17. I went to a school called St. Paul's in Auckland. Um, a lot of Warriors players or league players have come through that school, that system. And it was kind of the best of both worlds. We played first 15 on the weekend, Saturday morning, and we played first 13 Wednesday after school. So we were in both teams. So the league boys just made a first 15 team for the weekend, and there's somewhere I got picked up by the Warriors is on a Wednesday afternoon by Tony Aro. We had a really good team. We had Manu Mao, we had Saliva Havili, the Lausi brothers, Nafi Siliwini. We had a really good team, the Pahlavi brothers. And most of us went on to play NRL. Um, so yeah, fond memories of school, but that's how I got introduced to rugby league was probably 2004, I think. Dogs of War, like Rennie, Sonny, Mace. I remember watching them. That was probably my first league team I actually followed was Dogs of War, especially Sonny, how he changed the game. And I've become a league fan ever since then. And then obviously watching Bags 2005, and then Carmichael 2006. Legends of the game. They're players that paved the way for young players like me.
Were there any of those dogs of war that you sort of took inspiration off into your own game?
Yeah, Sonny and Rennie, 100%. Just he had everything, he had footwork, offloads, big hits. Like if you had to make a rugby league player in a laboratory, bro, you'd make Sonny 100%. You'd make Sonny.
100%. Good car.
Yeah, yeah, bro. So, like, honestly, yeah, the big influence on my learning and love towards rugby league was the Dogs of War '04. And it's always good to follow them. I've followed them ever since. So, no, it's mad.
So you obviously signed with the Warriors in 2007, and played a bit under 20s between 2008 and 2009. What was that journey like? Obviously, making your way up to NRL. Obviously, had a really good team, as you were saying before. But talk to me about under 20s and what that's like.
Yeah, that was cool. So I got to the Warriors when I was about 15. I just turned up, trained for free. Heaps of the boys from St. Paul's just turned up and trained for free, like twice after school. Never saw the first grade boys, and there was no like stepping stone for us. And at the Warriors, this is before under 20s happened. This is before SG Ball. This is before any of the boys had an opportunity to play in Australian competition. So 2008 was the first time that the Warriors had a under 20s team in the Aussie comp, and that was one of the best. The Toyota Cup. That was the first year of the Toyota Cup, 2008, and that opened up the doors for all of us. As soon as because Ivan wasn't never selecting the young boys from development, obviously, because we're not tried and tested. But as soon as 2008 came and we got the opportunity to play against the best Australian boys, the school boys, the best Australian clubs have to offer, then all the boys started making their debut. So I think Benny Malino was first, and Kevin Locke, Bill Tupou, Sil Tonga, Russell, Sunny Five. We all just started making our debuts because we were playing under 20s. So if it wasn't for the under 20s competition, a lot of us probably would have stayed in rugby union, because that was very attractive as a 17-year-old. You get to train with first grade, you get to fly to Australia every second week, you get to play in the big stadiums, you get to curtain raise every NRL game. Like that's very attractive to a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. And that was attractive to me, and that's why I jumped on it.
Yeah, bro, 100%. It's just good for development as well. Obviously, not having to just not being playing every week, training with the first grade squad, sure, but to be playing every week, to be going and traveling with first grade, I think would be huge for just like confidence wise as well. And obviously to get a real sense of idea of where you're going to, where you're at, where you're going to, and stuff like that. I think it'd be
Yeah.
huge.
Out the gate, like, because we used to do our pro sessions Wednesday after night times against first grade. That was buzzy in itself, man. Like, I remember Wednesday morning, the whole Wednesday at work, I couldn't wait to get to training and then train alongside, play against the best 13 of the first grade team. So that helped development. That helped, watching Simon, Ruben, and Steve Price and that, how they prepare, how they train, and to be able to train alongside them, against them, in an opposed session, that was crazy. I used to love those Wednesday nights.
Any good stories from under 20s for me?
What kind of stories?
Just anything, mate. Your best story. Give me your best.
Nah, nothing too crazy. To be fair, it was very strict. Like, we weren't allowed. Yeah, we weren't allowed to leave the hotel. We got to Australia. We weren't allowed to. We were rarely allowed to go and see family. Family were only allowed to come to the hotel, which was good, bro. It taught you how to be professional. It taught you about timekeeping, time management. Bro, you put me on the spot. Actually, I can't think of a funny ass story that will be actually laughable, bro. So I might think about it while we're talking.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, I was just going to get into 2009 because you were really close to making your debut at that stage as well, but obviously had to pull out late with the hamstring. Talk to me about that, 48 hours. Obviously, you're preparing for yourself to make a debut and then late pulling out with that hamstring.
It's when I first got introduced to head noise, honestly, I trained so hard. I hadn't been injured for 2 years. I played the whole year before, under 20s, played all the games, never missed a game. And captain's run before my debut, I wasn't even running fast, and I felt my hammy go. It was crazy. And I didn't think it was too bad. So I hopped off the field and just chilled out. And then the next day it was really sore. And I was just thinking, nah, surely not. And then, when I got a scan, it was like a grade 2, I think it was. And I was out for like 4 weeks. And then there was my debut opportunity gone. And mate, I was fuming, bro. Honestly, fuming. Because I had invited all my friends and family to the game. Like, it was, really big moment. Obviously, I've trained so hard since I was 15. And to get let down like that, I was fuming. And then we went into that preseason, so I was training full time with first grade, my first full time preseason, and then I did my ACL right before the trials, and that preseason was hard, man, because the Warriors, they came wooden spoon, I think, or they came 14. So the 2010 preseason was crazy hard. So we did all of that preseason, and it come to the first trial, and I did my ACL at training, and I was fuming again. It wasn't the best start, to be honest with you, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me about just that injury head noise as well. But not only that, not making your NRL debut until 2 years after that first opportunity in 2009. So you had to wait all the way till round 4, 2011 for that NRL debut opportunity. Just talk to me about that in regards to, obviously you spoke about the head noise, but talk to me about that whole, just what you were going through in your head, and sort of trying to, stay focused on under 20s and stay focused on getting back. Just talk to me about the head noise around that.
Yeah, so I was obviously young, I was naive. I thought, when I did my ACL, I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, ACL, all right, I'm out for like 2 weeks. And then, when they saw the surgeon, they were like, no, no, you're out for the whole year. And I was just like, nah, no way. I've never heard of an ACL before. Obviously, I was young, naive, didn't know, much about sport injuries. But yeah, I was just number one. I was always grateful because I was playing. I was training full time first grade, so I didn't have to work, which helped a lot. So I had access to physio, full time physio. I had access to doctors. I had access to S&Cs, whenever I wanted because I was full time. It would have been so much harder if I was working and then I had to come in after work and then check out if I can get some rehab for some physio. So I had really good support staff at the Warriors when I was in my ACL. Um, and I was just really grateful to train alongside some of the best players in the game. Ruben just retired and he became our rehab trainer. So I spent a lot of time with Ruben. Every day I used to get flogged by him. It was hard, but just training alongside Ruben every day. How good's this? Just being really grateful for the opportunity to be in a first grade environment, and I suppose it put the fire in the belly so much more, especially when you're injured and you're watching the boys have fun, and all you're doing is sitting on a rowing machine or a watt bike, getting flogged by Ruben as well. Like his trainings are crazy hard, but it just gives you the motivation to always think you're going to come back. I'll be having fun soon. I'll be making my debut soon. Easier said than done at the time. I look back now, it's kind of a bit of blessing because it makes you appreciate footy a lot more if you have big injuries when you're young. Makes you appreciate when you are playing, really enjoying it, really enjoying week in, week out footy because you know what it's like when it's taken away from you. So it really gave me that sense of gratitude towards my rugby. Uh, and that motivated me through the whole ordeal, to be honest. And Ivan was cool as well. Ivan was a first grade coach at the time of the Warriors, and he would always include me in video sessions and uh, doing some stats, which was cool. Like I appreciate that. I've got so much respect for Ivan. Changed my life, and I'll never forget those days.
Talk to me about Ivan as a coach for you, mate, because obviously you had him for a long stage of your career. He was pretty much at a lot of the clubs that you were at during your NRL career. So just talk to me about his influence on your career, and obviously you said yourself he's changed your life. Just talk to me about his influence on yourself.
Yeah, number one, it's probably his he's chill. Like he's really chilled, um, and I can talk to him. I don't feel like I'm all tensed up. And he's very approachable to me anyway. And we could always talk about things. And one thing that sticks out to me about Ivan is he accepted you for who you were. He never told me to change, or he never told me to, oh, you need to be like this player. He never told me to be like, I need you to get his stats or you'll be in the team. He always accepted you for who you are. And in this day and age, I think you have to because everyone's easily triggered, and that's why I reckon he's doing so well at Penrith because the boys can be themselves. The boys don't have to conform in terms of you got to be like this player, you got to be like that player. He might have changed now. I'm not too sure, but that's something that really stuck with me because I've had a lot of coaches, bro, and they're way off the mark in terms of that off the field, man management compared to Ivan. So yeah, I remember the first time he said my name. I was buzzing when he said my name at a Warriors training. I was under 20s, obviously, but yeah, when he first texted my phone, I was like, bro, Ivan just texted me. Just little victories, man. Little victories. I look back. That was my thought process. Was I'm just trying to get a first grade jumper, and I'm really grateful for Ivan for giving me the opportunity. There were some trial games. He brought me on for the last 20 minutes in a first grade trial. Then he let me come and train with first grade for like 2 weeks in preseason, which was cool. Really appreciated that. And just small things like that, bro, I didn't forget.
That was actually going to be my next question because you did bring up, obviously taking a lot of what he had at when he was coaching yourself and obviously taking that to the Panthers. Is there anything you can sort of pinpoint that, you realized with him and his coaching temperament when you were under him that you think would make him or is making him successful at Penrith?
One thing, he was never a stats coach. That's one thing. Where a lot of coaches, especially Madge, Michael Maguire, bro, he's all about your stats. You got to get so much meters. You got to get so much run meters. You got to get so much post contact meters. Da 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 da. But I've never seen Ivan pull out a stats sheet in terms of individual stats. Da da da. He wasn't big on the stats. He was more just big on team chemistry and working in unison and working together as a team. And it was in simple terms too. So like if the opposition team shifted and it was a one-on-one tackle with a winger, Ivan would just say, wingers, make sure you make your tackles and clean up your shit. And then that was the saying, clean up your shit. Just simple things like that. It's not mad technical where some coaches will be like, you got to put them on your inside shoulder. Your foot's got to be right there in front. You want to close the gap late. Make sure your ass is in front. Like some coaches are like crazy technical, crazy. And you can bore your players, especially if you're just talking numbers in a video session. You can really bore your players. But I don't know how Ivan's coaching now, but it was all about team chemistry, team, and working for the team, the greater good of the team. He didn't really care about your run meter stats or your other stats. And I think that's when you watch Penrith play, like the defense is crazy, like their line speed's crazy. None of those boys are thinking about their run meters, in my opinion. Like none of those boys are thinking, oh, bro, I can't spend too much energy in defense because I need to save some energy for my hit-ups, or I need to get my meters in attack. When you're playing for Madge, I'm not going to go too hard in defense here because I need to save my energy because I need to get my numbers up attacking-wise. Like you could see how that plays on players' minds. Because then under Madge, like if you didn't make over 100 meters, you'll get dropped as a middle. So in the game, you're going into the game, you're thinking, bro, I just need to get my carries and I'm done. I just need to get over 100 meters and I've had a good game. And that's going to be a footy hack actually is coaches that rely on stats. They expect your 1% of plays, your effort plays to go out the window. Straight up, that's going to be a footy hack.
Mate, early access to the footy hacks. I'm loving it. Talk to me about your debut in 2011. So obviously you made your debut against Manly. Starting there in the second row.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that whole day, that whole 24 hours and obviously working towards that as well.
We lost 3 on the bounce. 2011, start of our year, we lost 3 on the bounce. Team was under pressure. I think it was Cronulla and Topol. That was my debut. It was in New Zealand, Topol. I remember that. Coming up against the Sharks, they had a massive pack. Gallons, Jeremy Smith, Fafita, Tagatese. Bro, they had a huge, like Ben Ross, I think. Their forward pack was massive. I remember thinking, out of all the games to debut, it's against Sharks. But I was buzzing, man. Captain's run, bro, I did nothing. Like, I just took it easy. I didn't. Every player, every young person that's making his debut, like the captain's run, if I'm in the team, I'm always telling them, bro, just do the bare minimum. Just put yourself on cotton wool. Don't run too hard. Don't do a hamstring. Don't do an ACL. Just tick the box in your captain's run, bro, and you get off, go home, rest up. So I was really careful and slow in my preparation. I just made sure I did everything required, and I just couldn't wait, bro. I just couldn't wait to put the jersey on and run out and play first grade, because it was a long time coming, as you said, 2 years from when I was supposed to make my debut. To get the final call from Ivan that I'm playing, it was cool.
Yeah, so it was round 4, 2011 Sharks. Talk to me as well about how much that 2 years of waiting played on, obviously, your excitement, but also how you ended up playing as well in that game against the Sharkies.
I had no choice. Like, honestly, I was because I was young, and I was just happy to be there, bro. And I was happy to be there. I know I earned it. I definitely earned it. Like, I definitely earned it from working so hard. Rehab with Ruben, training by myself, ACL. Yeah, if you ever done ACL, anyone out there, bro, that is a long rehab journey to come home, get through, and just to get on the field, that was just such a relief more than anything. Like a relief of, yeah, I've done it. It wasn't. I wouldn't care if we won or lost, bro. But just to say that I've done it, like I've actually, all the hard work is actually paid off. It was more of a relief, bro. Honestly, and to see the family and that happy, that was cool. And that's something you'll never feel again. That's another footy game. You'll never feel that debut feeling ever again.
It's like the honeymoon phase, mate.
Yeah.
Talk to me. So round 4, 2011, you make your debut. You then go on to play in the grand final as well that same year. Talk to me about that whole process there. It's pretty rare to make a grand final in your first year. I spoke to Rennie about it because he did the same for the Dogs. But talk to me about that sort of what that did to your mindset as well, and just talk about that whole process there. Obviously, making that grand final in your first year against Manly, starting as well. Talk to me about that.
At the time, I was young. At the time, I was just happy to play first grade, and everything was like easy. Like everything was coming off that year. We're winning games. We won a lot on the trot, on the bounce. The boys were happy. Like, training was fun. My body felt good. I wasn't carrying any baggage. We were playing free too, because a lot of us came through the Warrior under 20 system together. So it was more fun than anything. I didn't really feel pressure at all because, I was just happy to be there. And in hindsight, bro, I thought rugby league's always going to be that easy because we're always winning my first debut year. So I don't know, it kind of set me up a bit because I thought, yeah, we're going to make finals every year. I thought it's always going to come off like whenever we play. Like Shawnee's always going to come up with a big play and then we'll win. Or Kevin Locke's going to come up with a big play and then we'll win. But that's not the case at all. But at the time, it just comes so easy. Your mind's thinking, "Oh, we could do this next year. This is easy." But yeah, I learned the hard way, definitely in that aspect. But the week, the build up to the game was cool. Again, I was just buzzing out, to be honest. When you're young, you don't feel pressure, in my opinion. When you're young, you don't have many responsibilities. Like I had no kids, I had uh, no other responsibilities. All I had was footy. That was the only thing on my table. I didn't have a mortgage, didn't have bills to pay, didn't have other responsibilities. So life was simple. That's when life was simple. But fast forward like 10 years, 12 years, bro, pressure's like the older you get, the more pressure you feel because you have to perform. Younger players are coming for your spot. You're expected more. You're in a leadership role, so you have to perform every week. You have to set standards at training. I'll never forget after the game we lost, and all the older boys, the vets like Michael Luck, Lance Hire, all the boys that have been trying to get to a grand final their whole career, they were rattled because they knew that was their only opportunity to get a ring, and that stuck with me. That stuck with me my whole career. So here we were, me, Shawnee, Nobby, Benny, like we were just kids having fun, and the vets were just like devastated because they've worked their whole careers to get to that moment in time. So yeah, it's a bit of a twilight moment that was.
Talk to me about as well that adjustment, because obviously you were saying then, when you're young and obviously you have so much success early on, it can sort of play with your mindset a little bit because you just sort of expect,
Yeah,
we're going to make finals every year, as you were saying before. But talk to me about that sort of adjustment moving further into your career when maybe that wasn't the case. You obviously weren't making finals every year. Talk to me about that sort of mental adjustment.
yeah, because when you the next year we didn't make finals. Coach got fired 8 months in. Bluey McLennan, that was unjust. That shouldn't have never happened, in my opinion. But then we got on Matt Elliott, and then he lasted a year, and then he got fired, and they brought in someone else. That's when I left to go be with Ivan because it was just there's a lot of uncertainty at the Warriors. Didn't know what was happening, etc. So I went to Penrith, and then our first year at Penrith, we nearly made the grand final. We lost in the semi to the Dogs, 2014. And then 2015, bro, that was a hard year. We got so many injuries, and we nearly got the wooden spoon. And then after that year, Ivan got fired unjustly. Um, so yeah, it was a pretty rocky road. Like I started high, and then it's been a slow descent all the way. Because yeah, I've just been on a lot of teams that we've struggled. Could be various reasons, but yeah, I've been in a lot of crisis meetings, to be honest. I think I hold the record. I reckon I hold the record for the most crisis meetings for one player. Um, but no, you learn a lot about character. You learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about how important relationships are. And that's when you see a lot of things behind the scenes in terms of like footy hacks. There's a lot of snakes, a lot of people that are climbing the ladder, a lot of people that'll do anything just to get on top of you, a lot of back row, like heaps of backstabbing and that. That's where I learned the most about rugby league and those hard years when things weren't going so good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We'll backtrack just a little bit before we move on to the Panthers, but obviously in 2013 you were selected for New Zealand to play in the Four Nations. Talk to me about that whole process there. Only 2 years after you debuted, you're here playing for New Zealand as well. It's a really nice journey, but talk to me about that November 5, obviously you go up against Wales. What's
Yeah.
that feeling like being selected there for New Zealand?
Oh, bro, it's crazy. So after the grand final, we lost to Manly, and then I think it was like a week later, yeah, Mooks calls me, Steve Kearney calls me, and I was like, nah, straight up. I was tripping. I was like, bro, he's actually calling my phone. And yeah, sure enough, he gave me a call. There were some injuries in Kiwis. I think Shawnee pulled out. Sean Johnson pulled out. And then I got an opportunity to travel with the team. And I was tripping, man. I couldn't believe I met Bags for the first time. That was buzzy. I met Isaac Luke for the first time. Like properly, like sit down, chop it up, talk, have some food and that. Jared for the first time. Yeah, that was cool, man. Really grateful for Mooks again for giving me the opportunity. And yeah, again, I was just a kid, and everything was easy, bro. Everything was coming easy. Um, yeah, I released a footy hack like I don't know a month ago, and he said, the jersey could be gone just like that. And I referenced Mooks there because I remember that conversation was on that tour. And yeah, sure enough, like 2 years later, I did my ACL, and I didn't make it back into the Kiwis team for like 3 years because I had to climb back up because that's when like Tom Malolo was in his prime, Tohu Harris was in his prime. That's all I was saying, bro. It's so hard to get back into that team. Um, don't take it for granted, or it could be gone like that. So yeah, bro.
100%, 100%. Any good stories from New Zealand camp? Sorry to put you on the spot again, but is there any good stories you remember from that
I
camp?
should have prepared. I should have prepared. I just remember I was always on the mic, like Blairy and Jeremy Smith. They hammered me the whole tour. They hammered me the whole tour, bro. like Adam Blair's always on the microphone on the bus, and I was the young rookie fella, and yeah, bro, they just hammered me all tour. I was up the front on the mic all the time trying to rap for the boys. Um, had to go get cheeseburgers one night. I think it was like 50 cheeseburgers from McDonald's. And I remember thinking, bro, I don't know if I got enough money in my bank account to buy 50 cheeseburgers. And then the boys were like, no, we'll reimburse you when you get back. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, bro, sweet. Just stuff like that, man. Look back, like, it's good banter. But at the time, bro, I was like so nervous and I wanted to impress the lads. And yeah, I didn't want to feel left out in that. So it was, yeah, bro, funny memories, straight up.
Talk to me about that move to the Panthers, and just that sort of adjustment too. Obviously moving over to be with Ivan as well, but talk to me about that move to Penrith and what that was like, that adjustment.
Yeah, that was exciting, man. I was looking forward to the Penrith move because I spoke to Ivan after the grand final. He was off to Penrith and we spoke about it. He was like, if you're keen to come over, let me know. So Ivan got there and he had to do a big clean out, apparently. Him and Gus of Penrith. And that's when they organised the Centre of Excellence. I signed, one of the big reasons I signed was to play outside Thurston because they said Thurston's going to Penrith. That was like a big pitch. And that, like, yeah, I was like, yeah, man, I'd love to play outside Thurston. And speaking to Gus as well, there was another big reason why I went there, what they wanted to turn Penrith into. Yeah, to think back, man, they've actually achieved their goal. They actually achieved what they set out to do back in, when was it, 2014? And
Yep.
yeah, them now, they're flying. But yeah, so at the start, yeah, Ivan was just trying to make a team, trying to make a culture, trying to get players to buy in. He was he had to make some big calls, some tough calls, with Michael Jennings, Luke Lewis, Michael Gordon. Um, but he stuck with the process. He trusted the process, and he deserves all the respect he can get. Ivan, he's done a brilliant job. Uh, he's been through a lot of adversity, especially when he got fired from the Panthers first time. But I enjoyed my time in Penrith. I made a lot of good friends. Ronnie Palmer was my trainer. Yeah, I don't regret it, to be honest.
I know you said that you're like you didn't really feel pressure, back then when you were young. You felt like everything was coming easy, but coming into that Penrith side, obviously replacing a few superstars. Michael Jennings walks out the door, Michael Gordon walks out the door, Luke Lewis walks out the door. Was there any sort of pressure felt walking into that team and thinking, "Fuck, I've got to step up and replace some superstars here that have left that side before me"?
Yeah, man, like that's the first time I actually started feeling pressure. First time because I played at the Warriors for like 3 years straight, first grade, and I've earned the respect from the team. I worked my way up. Uh, I worked hard for my teammates at the Warriors, and they knew how I played. But when you go to a new team, when you go there as a signing, you're expected to be at a certain level. You're expected, and that's the actually first time I've actually felt pressure. Like, oh, bro, I've actually got to train hard here. I've actually got to like set the standards, and I've got to do that every day. And I've got to be on every day, like every training field session. I've got to be on, and that was yeah, that's probably the first time in my career I felt pressure. Like 3 years in, I think I was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. My family enjoyed Penrith, which was a big positive. We established some good relationships there as well, which helps out off the field definitely. And yeah, honestly that was the first time I actually felt pressure. Especially with those players like Luke Lewis and Michael Jennings leaving, and then you're coming. So a lot of the boys be like, "Oh, bro, you better be good," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about Gus and obviously what he's done at the club and obviously how it's worked so well over the past 10 years to what they are now. But was there any sort of, just sitting back from a player's perspective, was there any sort of signs that this was going to happen, or could you see what Gus was doing at the club in your time there?
So when I got there, the Centre of Excellence was being built. It took a long time to be built because there were some hold-ups of that. But that was the first time like they were actually building Centre of Excellence. Yeah, everything was going really good until 2015 came. We had a horror run of injuries. I think from our top 30, I think like 20 of our, nearly like 20 of our starting players were injured, big injuries, ACL. I did my ACL again. Some boys syndesmosis, backs, necks, broken legs. And yeah, we nearly got the wooden spoon that year. And that was tough because we trained so hard 2015. We come off a high from the semi-final 2014. That was another sign that we're building as a team together. We nearly made the grand final. And yeah, 2015 was a massive blow. And then Ivan lost his job. And that was like, what the heck? For me, I was like, what happened there? How did this happen? Because this came out of the blue. Like 2014, Ivan got Daily M coach. And then 2015, Ivan got sacked. And I was like, bro, that doesn't make sense to me. How did that happen? There's no way that could happen. And then, yeah, that was my days numbered at Penrith from there. So Anthony Griffin came in, and all the boys, the under 20s, the boys that are playing first grade now, they were all coming through the junior ranks, and they were in first grade. And yeah, I knew my days were numbered, especially like training alongside Kikau, Fish, Corey Hadawera. Who else was there? Chris Smith was there, Yowie was there. They were the young second rowers coming through. And I was like, bro, my days are numbered 100%. And yeah, sure enough, I went to the Tigers.
Yeah, look, it's crazy how quickly clubs can turn on coaches in some cases as well. You were talking about Ivan obviously being the Dally M coach of the year beforehand. Most recently with Kevin Walters as well. Yeah, he was obviously in a grand final the year beforehand and then
100%.
gets sacked. Yeah, it's so hectic how that can change. So things can change so quickly and plans can change so quickly. And how ruthless and cutthroat, as you were saying before, like this NRL business can be, not just with coaches but with players as well.
Definitely. That's why that's what I always go on about in my reels, your S&C. Like your S&C has a huge role. So Kevin Walters, he lost some superstars to injuries this year and obviously didn't have the best year. 2015, we lost heaps of players to injuries. Um, but the Panthers now, whoever their S&C is, he's keeping them all healthy, all fit. Um, yeah, that's why a lot of people don't realize how important the S&C is to a coach's career and to your player's career and your whole club team career. So, yeah, whoever's the Panthers S&C right now, bro, he's honestly he's the best in the game.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like you look at how many injuries the Panthers have had, you couldn't really think of too many, especially around their star group. Like not many of those guys get injured very often. I know Cleary's had his thing, like his hamstrings and knee injuries.
Hamstring, like a hamstring's like what 4 weeks?
Yeah,
It's not ACL. You're out for like 9 months. Like it's not like Achilles, bro. You're out for like a year. Like it's hamstrings, nicks and niggles, but like considering what they've achieved, like they haven't had massive injuries.
yeah, that was exactly my point as well. Like there hasn't been that big injury there at the club, which I think is a real positive, and I think it's a big reason as to why they've been been able to go on this run that they've been going on as well. Talk to me, mate. 2015, round 5, you break the record for the most tackles in an NRL game with 77. Talk to me about that. Shoulders would have been sore after that one. I'll tell you that for free.
Honestly, bro, like, I think that's why I always hammer our outside backs. I always hammer the outside backs in my footy apps because I remember like doing kick pressure so many times and our backs would drop at tackle one so many times, and then you have to sprint back and then you start a whole set again. This is before the 6 again era as well. Like we coughed up that much ball that game, especially early tackles. I remember thinking like I didn't even realize how much I'd done until afterwards, but I just remember defending the whole game. Like I can't remember. We're playing Cowboys. That's the year Cowboys won it. They beat us and they went and had like 11 wins in a row or something like that. But yeah, I just remember thinking like outside backs, bro, I'll put on good kick pressure for you and you still drop the ball. Like, what the? There's nothing worse than footy when you put in good kick pressure, final tackle, and then your winger drops the ball. And then he doesn't dive on it. The opposition pick it up, and then you have to sprint back. Instead of walking back to a scrum, you sprint back on, the try line defending. So honestly, bro, it was a crazy game.
100%, 100%. And look, this isn't like a light team as well. You're going up against some of the better forwards in the game. Taumalolo, Matt Scott. Like, you're going up against some real tough competitive forwards in the middle. It's not an easy task.
It was Jake Granville, who else was there? Anyway, that's the team that won the grand final. Asiata was there coming off the bench, young. Cohen Hess, I think, as well. Like some big lads, Matt Scott especially. And just, Jimmy Tamo trying to handle them in the middle of the whole game. Yeah, it was a tough game. I remember that one, man. So, yeah, it was hard to back up the next week. That was for sure.
Well, mate, it's funny you say that because midway through that season, you were actually averaging 50 tackles a game at that stage as well. So it wasn't really a one game thing. You were actually averaging 50 tackles a game midway through that year as well. So talk to me. I know that Madge, you were talking about how much of an onus he has on attack, but how did you sort of change it? And put yourself in an onus of defense more so. But was there a big onus for yourself on defense at the Panthers?
No, not at all, to be honest. I just remember when I was coming through the Warriors at first grade, Ivan always used to say, make your tackles. And I was a young kid, and I remember when I was doing my ACL rehab and that, and he was talking to the team and team videos, and he was just saying, if you want to play in this team, you have to make your tackles. And so in my mind, I just said, okay, whenever I play first grade for Ivan, I need to make my tackles, or I'm not going to play. And that kind of was drilled in my mind back in the day. It's not something I enjoyed, um, but it was something if you wanted to be in this team, that's the bread and butter that you had to do every game. So I didn't have much joy doing all that work, but it's something that Ivan required, in order to perform in his team. Where some coaches would. So I went to JT with the Tigers. JT wanted me to just get my hands on the ball and ball play as much as I could. And bro, that was a breath of fresh air for me, to be honest, because I never got told that my whole career at the Panthers or at the Warriors. And then I was playing with like Mitch and Brooksy, who were way younger than me, but they had more confidence than me. And so their confidence rubbed off on me to ball play a lot, and Teddy as well. So, yeah, that's why I really enjoyed different style of coaches have a huge impact on the way you play. I've said that before in Footy Hack, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that was probably going to be my next question. How much, when you're going to a new club or when you have a new coach come into the building, is it always a focus of yours to go, right, what does this coach like to see from their players? What is the big thing that they like to see from their players? And how can I fit that mold?
Yeah. So that's definitely one. I remember when Madge got the job at Tigers, I was thinking Madge likes his 13s to be like another prop. Because when Souths won it that year, bro, it was the power game. Like Burgess, T.O. just pumping through the middle of teams. And I was thinking that's the way Madge wants to play. And I'm not really a prop. So from as soon as Madge got the job, bro, I knew my days were numbered. Because there's no way that I could pump out like 200 meters a game. No way. I could try my best. But that wasn't my strength. Um, so yeah, the coach you have to any kid out there has a huge influence on whether you're going to be a part of the team. I was speaking to Corey Patterson. I did a footy hack with him the other day, and he was saying that he was at Newcastle when Wayne Bennett came. Um, Corey was killing it. He was killing it. But Wayne Bennett come in and just said, "Oh, mate, look, I don't want you at this club. You don't fit what I need at second row. I'm going to bring in Bo Scott. Da 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 da." And Corey was telling me he was rattled as. because he was a young kid, he was killing it as well. But someone like Wayne Bennett didn't want him. So to any kids out there, bro, the coach identify what kind of style he wants early, and then make a decision whether you want to stay or go. Because when Anthony Griffin came, he never told me what he wanted. He never told me what he wanted from me. Like he hardly ever talked to me. And then round one, like I didn't even make the team, and he told everyone I was out of form, and I was just like, what do you mean I was out of form? We didn't play this. It's round one. Um, so yeah, bro. A lot of things go behind the scenes that you don't see until hindsight.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just looking through some of the notes from the Tigers. Obviously, Aaron Woods, as soon as you had signed with the club, he was, singing your praises at that stage as well. He was really happy that you would come over. One of the quotes that he had for yourself was, he's been really good for our defensive line as well. Just the amount of talk that he brings. He's a player I'm glad we've picked up. Talk to me about how important talk in the defensive line is. I know that you're quite big on your defense, or at least at the Panthers and under Ivan, you're quite big on your defense. But talk to me about how important talk is in a defensive line.
Bro, it's communication's everything. Oh, sorry, attitude defensively, and then communication. Shout out to Michael Luck. So I learned all that from Michael Luck. Communication, talks, comms, and Willie Hitter. Shout out to Willie Hitter as well. Because when you're defending next to someone that's always talking in your ear, bro, it just makes you feel so comfortable, because it makes you build trust. You know he has your back. But there's nothing worse defending next to a person that doesn't talk, because you start second guessing what he's doing. That means you start not trusting him. And that means you start worrying about something you can't control. And it's just so important, especially coming through the Warriors system. Again, Ivan said, do you want to play first grade? This is the standard you have to get to. And it always stuck with me. It always helped me. And every player that I played alongside, they always encouraged me to keep talking defensively. So again, it helps the team out, especially our ages. When you're middle, when you're defending, if you're a young kid out there, bro, it just makes sure you're always talking defensively, because it just solves so much problems.
Who was your favourite player to play with at the Tigers? So there's obviously a good number of players there. Teddy, you were mentioning before, Woodsy in the middle there. Who was your favourite player to play with?
Probably Robbie Farah, because he was Origin at the time. And again, that was another weird one. So I got there, he was playing Origin, but then he was playing New South Wales Cup at the same time as playing Origin. And that makes no sense at all. Like, there was so much politics when I got to the Tigers. But just, his experience around the ruck, he knew what he was doing. I'd watched him for a long time. He treated me well, bro. He was very kind to me when I first got to the Tigers. He was very respectful. Shout out to Faf. And yeah, playing alongside him, a legend of the game. Anytime we get to play alongside a legend, it's always a cool feeling. It's always a special moment.
100%, 100%. 2017, you were the vice captain. You were player of the year for the Tigers as well. Top 5 for tackles in the NRL, and number 1 for tackles at Clubland as well. Big year 2017.
Bro, I didn't realize those stats. I just remember, JT having a huge influence on me. And that's the first year Ivan came as well. So JT got fired, then Ivan came, and we're still trying to find our identity as a club at the West Tigers. We're still struggling in that respect, and I think they're still struggling to what's their identity, and it's something that Madge tried to do as well. Ivan tried to do it, but he left. um, but yeah, man, I think they're always going to struggle in terms of what they've done in the last 5 years. Hopefully Benji can turn it around. I really do. Um, but yeah, it's definitely fond memories back when we was trying to build something at the Tigers, but we never just quite got there.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me about Talk to me about that as well. Just trying to find that identity within yourselves. What does that involve? Like, obviously, there's big onus on the playing group to sort of instill that. But how does a club find its identity?
Good question. I think yeah, I was always in support of building their centre of excellence in Campbelltown. Um, like it's a blue collar area, the Magpie area. Um, so much more players came from there because not many kids live in central Sydney these days. Like, not they don't play rugby league, but anyway, um, that was a big thing I noticed from Panthers to Tigers. So when I left Panthers, bro, they had the juniors coming through, like Fish, Yowie, everybody that's playing now. They were coming through the system. When I got to Tigers, there were none. Probably Alex Safar and Tommy McKaylee. Two. But at Penrith, bro, there was like 17 coming through. The juniors were just pushing and that up until West Tigers get those juniors coming through the system, like through Campbelltown, through Balmain area, until they get to that level of pathways what Penrith's got. I think they're always going to struggle. Because I know a lot of the West Tigers boys don't. We didn't live in Burwood. We didn't live in Central because it was too expensive. A lot of us lived in Penrith. A lot of us lived in Campbelltown. Some people, we lived all over the place. So yeah, that was another reason why I don't think the Tigers have been as successful as they could have been and haven't got their identity is because, yeah, connecting with the grassroots of the game, their pathways. I think that's been a struggle for them for the last 8 years.
Well, because everyone's coming from somewhere else as well. So you're not actually building that from the ground up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Where at the Warriors, like it's one town team. Everyone represents one town, one club, one town, one city. Majority of the boys come from Auckland, where at the Tigers, where everybody comes from everywhere else except Balmain or except Campbelltown. Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Look, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they go this year. Obviously, a bunch of big signings, but I agree. It's something that not a lot of people are talking about. Just the fact that they are recruiting a lot externally. Like they're not actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Like we don't, like yeah. It's just not being talked about enough because we don't know I don't know what's happening inside those walls, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot coming from those juniors. Like even like the young guys like Latu Fainu, Samuela, those boys, they were through the Manly system. So
Yeah, see, that's
yeah,
a huge example, bro. Like until they get their own proper boys coming through their own proper pathways, I think they're always going to struggle. Um, Penrith's everyone's got to copy and paste Penrith, like in terms of bringing their own talent through to sustain success. Well, unless you got like a gun coach like Bellamy that knows how to bring a team together from all over the place. Um, so yeah, Bags has got a big job on his hand, bro. I hope he can turn it around. The bro will be under pressure, but he backs himself, bro. I'll back him too because he's very confident. So I hope Tigers can turn it around.
100%, Murray, 100%. Mate, I've talked a little bit about this with Rennie as well. I'm interested to get your thoughts. What's the transition like going from NRL over to the Super League, and what are some of the main differences that you can sort of pinpoint?
Oh, bro, it's so more chilled. Like, no one cares about rugby league over here. It's not in the media. No one knows who you are. There's no pressure to perform. There's only a top 23, and there's some teams don't have reserve grade. Some teams don't have an academy. So if you play bad, you're not going to get dropped because there's not much to replace you with. When NRL, bro, you play bad, you're gone. You're gone. You're going to get replaced by a junior. So that internal pressure doesn't exist here. The way they train in UK as well is just so much more relaxed compared to NRL. That's why a lot of halves come over here, and they find success. They get confidence. They get man of steel. A lot of spine players, because in my opinion, there's no pressure. There's no newspapers about you. There's no NRL 360s about you. No one cares if you win or lost. No one cares if you play bad. That's why I reckon halves, when they come here, they thrive because they're left to themselves. There's no that external pressure to perform. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend to come over now to the Super League because there's no RLPA here. A lot of players, that's the first thing I noticed. There's no RLPA. There's no education allowance. There's no retirement account. There's no hardship funding. There's no um, insurance for your contract. You know, if you have a big injury, your contract doesn't have to be paid. Where RLPA, bro, they've done so much work. You know, I wouldn't recommend a player to come to the Super League right now unless they're 31, 32. Yeah, pretty much.
Talk to me about the differences more so as well from like playing the game. What was sort of the differences in like the style of play that you had to play with as well in the Super League?
Yeah, sweet. So their whole mindset of footy is totally different. So in the NRL, it's all about arm wrestle. You know, complete your first five, get into the arm wrestle, find your rhythm, and it's whoever breaks first. Just kick to the corners, defend well. In the Super League, it is literally let's try and score, or let's try and pass our way out of trouble, or let's just throw an offload and see what happens, comes off the back of that. It's eyes up footy. It's really refreshing. It's refreshing to play because it's eyes up all the time. But at the same time, it's frustrating because you don't know what players are going to do, and you don't know what defenses are going to do. That's probably the biggest difference. Where yeah, NRL, you're just before the game, all you're thinking about is just get an arm wrestle. When you get to the Super League, bro, it's just like, okay, how can we score? How can we play around the team? Can we shift? Um, that would be the biggest difference for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Um, yes, it is interesting. Like Rennie was saying the same thing as well. It's very attacking based. Like it's very.
100%. Honestly, crazy, crazy attacking base.
Do you think that's why England was so successful? Well, they like have been, known to be one of those top teams when you go into that Four Nations and into World Cups as well, because they're just so imprinted on attack, 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 and their attack is really, really good.
Um, yeah, a bit of both. A bit of both. Yeah, they defend so different as well compared to our basic NRL team. How we'll defend back in the NRL. Um, but yeah, when they attack well and everything's going their way, bro, they could beat any team. But it's when you get into an arm wrestle, like a proper arm wrestle with England squad, that's where the opportunities will pop up. But bro, there's some skillful players over here, some absolutely freakish skillful players that
Mm.
don't get the credit they deserve. And I think that's why England do so well when they do go to big tournaments, is because bit of the element of surprise and some
Yeah.
kind of don't see every weekend playing in the NRL. Um, and one more thing about them, they're very strong, bro, like crazy strong. I'm talking like powerful forwards that find their front and know how to get quick play the ball. And that was one of the first things I've noticed in terms of the physical contact. It's probably more than the NRL physically, the contact bit. But every other aspect of the game is goes to the NRL favor in terms of like speed, grinding games, ball and play, etc.
Because the reason I bring that up is because just watching England taking on Samoa as well, when they were getting themselves in good positions, obviously towards the midpoint of games, when they sort of got into the groove, their attack was just so like iced really well. Everything execution. Herbie obviously a big part coming over from the NRL and obviously being an attacking gun himself. But Harry Smith there at the 7, just really directing well. Obviously coming off a grand final in the Super League himself.
Yeah,
Um, they just looked like that their attack was just icing really well. Everything was moving really fast, and it sort of took Samoa off guard a little bit. And you're talking about that element of surprise, obviously. Playing the NRL and that NRL style of play, and then a lot of those boys in that England team playing the England style of play, which is very attack coordinated.
Yeah.
The reason I brought that up was because the attack just seemed to be a lot more iced. Defensively, there were a few lapses here and there, and Samoa they did find some cracks here and there as well. But attacking wise, England just seemed to be on another level.
Yeah, man. And put that down to Sean Wayne as well. Like Sean Wayne's the coach. He's a successful Wigan coach. And he's very, very structured from all the stories I've heard. He trained, he was under Madge when Madge was successful at Wigan. And he has a massive emphasis and a great coach from everyone I've heard. So he would have his fingerprints on those performances for sure. But in terms of England as well, they're used to these conditions. The English players, bro, they're used to being cold. They're used to being wet game. Like, if it was a fast track on a hot day, it could be a different story in terms of the Samoan boys adapting. But no, credit to England, bro. Their attack was really well orchestrated. They looked threatening every time they went on a shift, and they could only get better. And they need more games. They need more like top level games, because they don't get much, bro. Over here, they play France. They 50-0, I think it was 50-6. They used to have an exile game here, but that's gone down the toilet because no one was supporting it. So they just need to get more games, England, at a high level, for the game to grow over here as well.
Yeah, 100%. Look, you're obviously playing for Oldham at the moment. Obviously just coming off a season with them. Talk to me about that. Obviously, there's a few divisions in the Super League and how it works. Obviously, if you win Div 3 and you lose Div 2, you guys swap. There's
Yeah,
like the relegation.
yeah.
How's that been? Obviously playing for them, you guys won the comp too. The
Yeah.
back end of this year.
So Mike Ford, he was the Bath rugby union coach. His son's George Ford. He plays for the England team. He's very ambitious. He wants Oldham. It used to be a power. It used to be as big as Wigan and St Helens back in the days, and he wants to restore that team back to Super League. And he's very ambitious about it. So we've signed a lot of players to make that happen. So this is our first year in Championship, and if we win this comp, we got the Super League, and that's his goal. And that's the reason why I signed here, is because that was the vision. We've got a really good team. Sean Long's our coach. Got a really good culture. I think we have the potential. We have the potential to win the comp this year, to go up to Super League, but it's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice. But bro, the step down from here's Super League, the step down to Championship, that gap is massive. Like in terms of quality, in terms of competitiveness, like that's a huge step down, bro. Like a cup game is so much more clinical than a championship game. And then last year we played League One. That was another step below. That was even worse in terms of competitiveness and in terms of. I remember going to some games, playing in some of those games, and I was just thinking, bro, I'm playing against some guys with like overweight. Like some guys have just left the pub. I was thinking, nah, surely not. We played a team in Cornwall, and a lot of the boys were just playing for free for the opportunity. So the grassroots game over here, rugby league, needs to be changed really quick, or the game's going to die over here, straight up. Yeah, bro. Participation ever since COVID, bro. The game's on a massive downward spiral. Honestly, it's very the grassroots level is struggling here. The best thing that could happen to the game is NRL coming by. That would be the best thing that happened to the game Super League because the game's just driving itself into the ground. A lot of people say, "Oh, bro, what about we can beat Penrith?" Or what about St. Helens? They beat Penrith. Super League's all right. I'm talking like the deeper levels. I'm talking the grassroots level over here. Bro, it's not a good picture. It's not a good look in terms of player development pathways. It's very bleak in my opinion.
So, mate, I want to put you on the spot again. Let's say the NRL does buy the Super League.
Yeah.
And you're the head of those grassroots. What are you changing? What's the first thing that you're going to be implementing to improve those grassroots?
Right, I'm going to a winter. I'm putting it back to a winter season. So right now, league's in the summer. So I'm changing. I'm putting rugby league back to winter for starters. Secondly, then I'm bringing in the RLPA over here to clean all the books. Where's all the money getting spent? What's happening with all the funding? Thirdly, I'm doing a reserve grade competition. There's no reserve grade comp here, bro. Like, can you believe that? So if you get dropped from your Super League team, you don't play until you make the team again. There's no reserve grade comp. There's no player development pathway for the young players over here. Those are the three things I would change straight away. Like, back in the day, bro, they got 100,000 people come to the stadium to watch a semi-final between Warrington and Bradford. 100,000 people to 100,000, bro, for a semi-final game in person. Like, that would never happen today. That would never happen. Like, someone over here in the RFL Super League have dropped the ball, and those crowds do not exist anymore. They don't exist.
Yeah, wow, that's so hectic. Like, not many people that are NRL fans in general would know like this situation because, as you said, we versus St. Helens. St. Helens win. We go, yeah, sweet. Look, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what they didn't tell you about. I'm going to do a whole segment on the state of the Super League because everybody thinks, oh, they beat Penrith. Super League's going all right. Da 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 da. It's like, bro, the grassroots level is honestly, wow. In 10 years' time, I don't think it's going to be a professional game movie, to be honest.
Huge.
Yeah, honestly.
Huge.
Straight up.
Mate, look, that's really it for me. But the big thing I want to ask you, mate, obviously, you wanted to, after footy, you were talking about being a pilot and obviously taking down that route. That was something that you might be interested in. But in regards to footy hacks, in regards to rapping, mate, is there anything coming up in the near future you'd like to shout out on the podcast?
I'm designing. I can't say what I'm designing, but it's going to be used for footy hacks. That it's going to be very usable for every player to use, and it's going to help with their content. I'm just trying to get it cleared through health and safety. That's the only thing that's stopping this project from going forward. But every player will be able to wear it, and it'll be great for every single player's content. I can't give much away, but that's what's coming in the pipeline for footy hacks. Is something that every single player can put on, and it'll be awesome for their content. So yeah.
Mate, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going on. I'm excited to see what's happening, mate. Thanks for so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and it was great to talk to you and have a yarn about your career. You've obviously had a really nice career, NRL-wise. Obviously coming over to the Super League, you've had success here as well. So, look, thanks for your time. I appreciated having you on.
So that's bro. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate that. Take care, brother.
You too, man. You too.